told it's going to be great once it's done, but for now it's just a big inconvenience. We have the latest on that big construction project inside DIA that could face a massive delay. E470, you pay them tolls on the road, and they give you bad advice online. We look at something you shouldn't do.
I say it all the time. Teach them how to think, not what to think.
CU's outgoing president is about to retire in talks with Marshall, and a controversy over new murals in one Colorado town. All of that and much more is next. Jefferson County has closed Waterton Canyon because of a wildfire burning nearby. This is just south of Lockheed Martin. The fire started around 2 o'clock this afternoon. West Metro Fire says a few hikers have been evacuated from that area. Firefighters hope to get it 100% contained before it gets too late. They say it's unsafe for them to stay on the hill after dark. It's unclear at this point when Waterton Canyon will be back open. Public art. It's meant to get people talking, right? Most artists hope for good discussions about their work and not word-of-mouth talk that could force them to remove their artwork. In Granby, some businesses are worried their murals may be painted over because some people don't like the art. Can't make everybody happy. Our Sonia Gutierrez looked into what's going on in Granby, Colorado.
8 murals on 8 different buildings, all for one cause.
We were trying to build community
with the Rocky Mountain Walls Art Festival in Granby, Colorado.
And there was nothing but positive feedback.
Until there wasn't. In a letter sent to Granby town officials, the CEO of an organization in one of the buildings with a mural wrote this: I have heard that some say we should paint over and cover these murals up as they don't represent the Granby community or its heritage. I fear it would make us as a community look small-minded and perhaps even intolerant.
It feels like fear.
One of the artists who painted the murals say he's heard from the town that people want to paint over 2 murals in particular.
2 walls that were wanting to be painted over and quote-unquote whitewashed were a portrait of a Hispanic woman who happened to be the sister of one of the artists who was going through some really tough times.
The other mural is one artist Pat Milbury worked on with an African-American artist.
I'm incredibly shocked.
The controversy has gone so far, several businesses were invited to a town board meeting where they were told people will be talking about the murals. That topic is not on the agenda, but it could come up during public comment.
We don't want it going anywhere.
Crystal Moeller is one of those business owners invited.
I would like to think that we will have some pretty big issues if they try and cover up something that's on our property.
She wants her murals to stay and says she is willing to take legal action to keep them there.
I don't know, it'd take a lot of nerve to paint over a beautiful piece of art, and especially if you didn't ask the artist to sit down and talk about it together.
I have been reaching out to the town government all day. Since this morning, I've called, left voicemails, I've emailed the mayor and the director of Chamber of Commerce, the town manager. Only the town manager responded to me hours later, saying that the murals are amazing and that he believes concerns over them will be discussed during public comment in the board meeting tonight. Although Jeremy, he was pretty evasive when I asked him questions about who invited people to speak in the first place. We're checking in with folks in Granby to find out what happens tonight after the meeting.
And we had to tweet at that town manager to finally get his attention. Keep asking those questions, Sonia, and we'll see what happens at that meeting tonight.
We will.
Yeah, good job.
Yeah.
So when two sides can't get along, sometimes you need a little help with the conversation. DIA and the contractor in charge of its big construction project just started mediation, and those talks could last all summer. So if you've been there lately, you've seen the big construction project and have likely felt the inconvenience of trying to get around it. This big renovation is a massive facelift. It's costing nearly $700 million. It's all for better security, a better check-in experience, better shopping, we're told. It's supposed to be done in November of 2021, but a report from the contractor, Great Hall Partners, says that may extend to 2025. DIA points the finger at the contractor, saying, in part, they're not planning things correctly with the right amount of staff. Great Hall Partners would only tell me no comment. So buckle up, Denver. Get ready for some turbulence even before your flight takes off. When Colorado was getting pelted with hail just a few weeks ago, State Patrol was reminding people not to park underneath overpasses during a hailstorm. Now a post on the E470 Facebook page is offering some advice, asking drivers to do the exact opposite of that. Not a good idea. Their graphic with summer driving tips is telling drivers to use overpasses for cover. But that is wrong. Don't do that. Don't just take our word for it. Listen to State Patrol. We spoke to CSP about this earlier this month. State troopers say that creates major safety issues on the road and could cause a pileup.
We're talking about inclement weather, which usually means reduced visibility. It means people who may not be paying attention to everything going on around them because they are so concerned with their own vehicles. As soon as you park, you're now putting yourself and other people at risk.
CSP says people who park under overpasses could get hit, could also be at fault for crashes because they are parked in an area where they shouldn't be parking. We reached out to the E470 people asking them about this bad advice that they're giving out to people. We're told they will fix that graphic. That is your toll money at work. So, what were you doing 11 years ago? I'll wait. In 2008, the University of Colorado hired a new president, a conservative. It was a controversial choice. Well, wait a minute, that sounds like 2019. Bruce Benson, the longest-serving leader CU has had in 65 years, retires this week. And just about in any interview he's done over the last year, he's pushed one big issue that he wants continued when he's gone. Here's Marshall Zellinger.
I'm a conservative oil guy with a bachelor's degree. That does not exactly fit the mold.
Yet for more than a decade, it has worked for Bruce Benson and the University of Colorado. Since Benson took over in 2008, state funding really hasn't increased, but fundraising has more than tripled.
I'd say it's a huge success because they were on track to not go that way. They would have kept going along like this.
But the one statistic he's still not happy with isn't about money, enrollment, or alumni satisfaction. It's something he's mentioned in just about every interview for the last year.
75% of the Democrats say we're doing a good job in higher education. 35% of the Republicans say that. It's because of this damn reputation that we get for being a bunch of liberals. 100 years ago, faculty ratios were 1-to-1, liberal conservative. The 50s got to 2-to-1. Now we're 10-to-1 or 12-to-1. You've got to get that back in line. You've got to have a real good debate and all sides and all points of view out there for people to hear.
That's why he started the Conservative Thought and Policy Program, which is about to have its 8th conservative visiting scholar.
When I started talking about that 10.5 years ago, I think people thought I was crazy. And I say it all the time. Teach them how to think, not what to think.
Diversity extends beyond political beliefs. CU touts an increase in minority enrollment in Benson's 11 years. Nearly 1 in 3 students have a minority background, up from fewer than 1 in 5. But in that same time, minority representation among professors has barely increased.
We recruit, we do everything we can to bring in more minority faculty. It's a huge issue to me. I want more minority faculty here.
That will be under the watch of new President Mark Kennedy, taking the helm from Benson, who leaves CU a second time, 55 years after getting his geology degree.
It's a great sense of feeling to say we got a lot done, we helped a lot of people, change their lives.
For Next, I'm Marshall Zellinger.
Benson and new President Mark Kennedy are in the office together this week. Kennedy's first official day in charge is on Monday. The city of Denver wants your permission to change up the Public Works Department with a new name and new mission. City Council approved putting this question on the ballot this November. If you say yes to this, the agency would change its name to the Department of Transportation and Infrastructure. It would be the city's first ever transportation department that would make public transit a priority. Public Works would become a division within that new department that would continue to take care of the garbage, sewage, and our streets. Guess what? RTD's train to Longmont is getting a little bit closer. Last time Kyle gave you an update this last Thursday, and we were at 11,153 days away. That's 2050, I believe. So let's going to bring out our graphic here. We're going to update you on this new timeline here. We are now at 11,048 days away to this timeline. RTD pushed this back to 2050 last week unless they get a new source of funding. Who knows? By that time, trains actually may be obsolete then. In an area where there are no lines, some drivers still find a way to cross the line. Next, viewer Sarah took this photo at the top of Loveland Pass this morning. Now, there are not any lines marking up parking spaces there, but when you see other vehicles parking in a line, you may want to be courteous and do the same thing, right? Or you can just go against the grain like this guy and find yourself surrounded by other cars. Lucky for that person, there's still enough space to maneuver out of that spot. It's never too late to learn something.
I was in my 50s when I went back to college.
A woman from the San Luis Valley learned how to honor Colorado through art. Now her work has earned an honor of its own.
But it's such an honor to get an award like that.
A missing husband found in a barrel of whiskey. There's a little random history for you next.
Welcome back. I'm meteorologist Kathy Sabin. Another beautiful summer day in Denver, and up high, the snow melting fast and furious. The rivers are rising. With temperatures like this, we managed 83 in Denver today. The average is 86, some 90s on the map down south, and we're headed for 90 in Denver tomorrow. A couple of fast-moving storms cruising off the foothills. A damaging wind coming out of these storms, little thunder, lightning, brief heavy downpour earlier this evening around Parker, Lone Tree, and Elizabeth. But really, the heavy weather will remain off to the east of us as we move through the overnight period. And tomorrow, there's slight chance of some stronger storms east of Akron and Lyman out on the far eastern plains. And so basically, we're kind of looking at this high pressure ridge allowing in just warm, dry air for the next couple of days that will limit the moisture for thunderstorms. The storms move out tonight and then return to the foothills tomorrow, but really just a nice pattern shaping up. So in your forecast, we'll call for lows in the mid 50s tonight, a quiet, dry night, a nice warm day tomorrow, close to 90 in the city. And that's a trend you've got to get used to. That's right, temperatures in the 90s for the end of the week and the upcoming weekend. Jeremy, we introduce a few thunder showers Saturday afternoon and Sunday, and about a 20% chance of rain from storms late in the weekend. But the weekend, just a few days away now.
Rock on. I love this summer, Kathy.
Me too.
We're going back in time again in our segment we like to call Random Colorado History. The concept here, look at what was printed in Colorado newspapers 100 years ago this day. We randomly pick this tidbit that appeared in the Rocky Mountain News on June 25th, 1919. The headline says, "Farmer leaves plow, disappears, wife finds him in a barrel of whiskey." What happened there? The blurb describes an incident in Wyoming where a farmer plowing on his land suddenly fell into a secret stash of whiskey someone hid in his land. His wife saw him suddenly drop out of sight. When she came upon him, he was waist deep in a barrel of whiskey. This happened in 1919, right when Wyoming became one of the last states at the time to ban alcohol. Colorado banned it in 1916. So when I was a kid, I had this red microscope. It was pretty basic, and it was about like this big where I could see bugs and stuff. CU Boulder is getting one that is 11 feet tall and 2,000 pounds. The Titan Krios microscope cost $5 million. There it is. This is video of one like it at Penn State. The state-of-the-art equipment will be the first in our region. So bugs are small, but this one can see well beyond that. It has the ability to look at the structure of cells using electrons and then create 3D images.
And because they're so small, we need these very high-tech, very expensive instruments to see them at great detail. These machines have levers, they have gears. They're actually quite fascinating from a biomechanical point of view. And seeing how they function in the cell allows us to then get at the bottom of many, many diseases that plague mankind.
Pretty cool. The microscope was paid for by the Howard Hughes Medical Institute. It will be delivered to CU on Friday. The university hopes to have it up and running by the end of this year. A woman from the San Luis Valley has a little advice.
It's very, very important not to stop learning.
She stayed true. Now she's being honored on a national stage for a new skill she learned when she was 50. And a sign that people aren't paying attention. Not you people, you always pay attention. That's how we get into trouble. Next. Welcome back. Colorado's story starts in the San Luis Valley. So many firsts are there, including Colorado's oldest town, San Luis. Tonight, we meet a woman from the San Luis Valley who went back to school at age 50. 35 years later, or 33 years later, she's doing something with her knowledge and art that is keeping Colorado history alive. Here's Ann Herbst.
Just like that.
A life without learning
I get started and I can't stop.
is not a life Josephine Lobato is interested in living.
I was in my 50s when I went back to college. I was one of those students that I wouldn't settle for a B.
She studied Colorado history so closely she could write a book. Instead, Josie uses a needle
And this is a couching stitch.
to create history not written, but stitched.
This is called colcha, C-O-L-C-H-A.
She designs each piece herself,
Sometimes in the middle of the night, I'm getting up to put my idea down on paper.
and they all remind her of her first home in the San Luis Valley.
Because that's the U.S. Post Office, and my mother-in-law was the postmaster. I thought this would be a good story.
But probably not as good of a story as the call she got on her 83rd birthday in April.
Michael Bennett was the one that called me.
I was like, oh, Mom, scam.
Her daughter Rita wasn't buying that it was Senator Bennett on the line.
And I was going to hang up.
Takes the phone into the living room
And he says, don't hang up. This isn't a scam.
The senator was calling to congratulate Josie on winning a fellowship from the National Endowment for the Arts.
And so that's a real honor.
For her embroidery. Not bad for something she first picked up in her 50s.
It's such an honor to get an award like that.
She's passing on tradition when she can.
If I can't find any students anywhere else, I'll start with my family.
Including Rita and great-granddaughter Annabelle.
Before I did this, I didn't have anything to do other than watch Netflix, and it takes a lot of patience and time, but I love doing it.
With each tug of yarn,
And come back up.
Josie Lobato isn't just teaching history. She's making it, too.
But this award is an honor to our state, it's an honor to my community, and it's a great honor for me, I'll tell you.
For next, this is Ann Herbst.
That's pretty cool. The fellowship, called the NEA National Heritage Fellowship, was given to 9 people this year and comes with a $25,000 award. How about that? It's the nation's highest honor for folk and traditional arts. It's a sign that some people just didn't read or just completely ignored. That's next. It's a sign that some people are just straight up ignoring. It reads, "Vehicles not allowed in park," and behind it, look at that. At least 2 vehicles are sitting inside the park. Lisa Zellinger-Cohen spotted this in Manitou Springs. If you're wondering, yes, she is related to our Marshall Zellinger. It looks like there may have been an event there, so maybe they got a free pass this time. See a sign you want us to share with us? Use the hashtag HeyNext or email us at 9news.com. All right, we got some feedback tonight. I'm going to read something. I like Kyle, but you're okay too, Jeremy. Vicky. Just okay, Vicky? Just okay? I'm done here.